Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Micron Technology. It is time for another update, and additionally this was also a stock analysis request from one of the members, and I wanted to let you know that anyone can make these requests, and I try to cover as many as possible, although the demand has been overwhelming as of late, and I will definitely not be able to get through all of them, especially considering the stocks and the charts that we do cover on a regular basis that need frequent updates, even more so than previously, due to the current market conditions, due to the potential they still have and the risk they come with. And we are in very many charts towards a topping area that could form sooner rather than later, and many of the stocks are within deep support levels that, if broken, could signal a more substantial top to already be in place. Now, on this chart, I don't really believe this is the case. On this chart, I am able to track a potentially quite impulsive and strong structure. We have here an initial wave 1 up, we have a wave 2 down, and we have been tracking a potential additional 1-2 setup to form within this area. But based on the strength we have created in this push to the upside, we have started considering something potentially much more bullish, at least in terms of a short term, because long term, even the idea of having a larger 1-2 setup would be bullish. Yeah, we would be looking for a larger wave 2 correction, but then we would be tracking a very strong wave 3 to the upside. But this would allow a more direct formation of the wave 3 itself here in the yellow interpretation, where instead of tracking this idea of a 5-wave move to the upside in a wave 1 and have a wave 2 correction, we would be looking at all of this as a series of 1-2 setups that would have formed instead. And this is quite uncommon that we actually succeed in following through the expectations of such a large amount of 1-2 setups. We basically have 5 of those on this chart. Now, don't get fixated on number. It could be that this is a single 1-2 setup. Doesn't matter too much in the end. But we would be looking right now at this as a 1-2, third, fourth, and a fifth. We are looking for an impulse to form within this area, where currently we would be in the midst of a wave 3. Now, this has been a very interesting development. This is probably one of the more bullish charts we could be tracking, and with the ongoing AI demands for memory, I don't see this trend going away anytime soon. Now, of course, no guarantee. That is why we are tracking objective levels of support that allow us to look for continuation to higher prices within this idea of an impulse, but currently there is no sign of weakness, and I believe we are still looking for this wave to the upside to extend continuously for a significant amount of time longer. Now, before we move into the smaller time frame and the structure we have been tracking, I wanted to briefly mention our channel newsletter that is completely free. Link for signups is in the description, and you get access to our monthly top picks. We will send out our first in a couple of weeks, and you will be among the first to get access to our Discord server. It will initially only be made available to those who subscribed to our newsletter. And additionally, if you enjoy the content, you find it helpful, you find it useful, and you want to support the channel, you can check out the membership. Link for that is in the description, or you can click the join button. I'm talking about the YouTube membership program. It's a frictionless way you can support the content, and you get some additional benefits like extra content and priority in stock analysis requests, such as this video that has been a request from one of the members. Now, full disclaimer, this is not a guarantee that I will cover your request. I will continue to prioritize what is in high demand, but when there is a video slot open, those will get my attention first, and I will assess at that point what I can cover. Now, back to the chart. We have provided you already the ideal target for the wave 3 here in yellow. This is at the 138.2% extension of the wave 1 around the $640 level. Maybe I haven't drawn this perfectly, but it is very much around that area. So yeah, maybe 660, 650 is more like it, but still there is a lot more upside to be had before we can consider this as a reliable wave 3, and honestly I don't see this as a problem because there is still plenty of room within this structure to extend to higher prices before we would have a full count. Now, at the same time, keep in mind we are tracking a wave C in parallel within this area, but in both scenarios I am still looking for an impulse to form. And within this idea of an impulse, I would consider we would right now still be within our wave 3, where this would be a 1-2 setup, a third wave up, a fourth wave that would be expected to form afterwards, and a fifth wave to take us to even higher prices. Currently, the area of support for the wave 4 is extending all the way down to the $217.6. But we expect this third wave to actually extend a little bit higher, and in such a scenario I would need to adjust this area of support once we form our top within the wave 3. So if you remember, in the previous videos we have been tracking this as a potential 1, 2, third, fourth and the fifth. Within this expectation I would be looking for this fifth wave to unfold as an ending diagonal. And I have to say, based on the structure we currently have within this area, we might be looking at a more substantial top to form once this fifth wave is in place. It is possible to look for extensions afterwards, but I would not consider those to be a high probability expectation we should be looking at. I'm not ruling that out, but once we have this additional high within the fifth wave in this area, the count would be full in this wave 3, and I believe preserving capital in such conditions might be a better play. I'm not telling you what to do, but I do see substantial risk once the pattern is complete within this structure, as it is quite difficult to look for anything but a diagonal structure within this area, in which case, once we have this additional fifth wave, we would be looking for a more substantial top. Now, full disclosure, this could extend even within this wave 3, it could form something like a larger ABC structure, but I would not consider this a high probability interpretation. However, if we do get the evidence, if we do follow through with the pattern and we get a very strong wave to the upside, I will once again look for an additional fourth and a fifth once we complete the actual wave 3. But as of now, we have retraced very nicely in a wave 4 correction in a 3-wave pattern to the downside into the area of support we had in this orange interpretation, and we are looking for a fifth wave to take us to even higher prices. Now, in the previous video, we had some relevant levels of resistance to track that would have allowed an extension to even lower prices, potentially to create a more clear wave C within this area. Right now, I might need to consider that this has instead unfolded within a WXY pattern, and it's not the end of the world. Sometimes we don't complete the corrections. This allows the correction to look incomplete, which it does. There was some attempt to actually extend to lower prices. We pushed here into the last level of resistance and we had a more substantial reaction. But now that we have broken even beyond the next level of resistance at the $403 level, we can assume even more safely that a more substantial bottom would be in place, or at the very least that this, as a potential wave A to the downside or something, would be complete and we will be looking for a larger wave B correction and potentially another extension to the downside in this wave 4 within a wave C, but I wouldn't consider this a high probability. This correction is likely complete at this point, however, I cannot rule out the possibility of extensions. Now, for the most part, the area of resistance I would focus on would be a quite generic one. Here, the levels between the $396.7 all the way up to the $434.3. Already in the pre-market pricing, we see that we are heading towards that last level of resistance, and while we cannot rule out the possibility of an overshoot to form within this area, especially based on the internal structure we see here, I wouldn't give it too much headspace, because in the end, this is going to be a very weak fifth wave to the upside that we expect. We are tracking a fifth wave within a fifth wave that is an ending diagonal that is indeed within a wave 3, but it would be expected to be a very difficult pattern to overall identify and track. And already from the current wave 4 low, we identify a 3-wave move to the upside. So I personally wouldn't be looking for any positions within this structure. It is going to be very unreliable. And I consider we may be heading towards an area that might be interesting to take profits if you already own a position. Now, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not a financial advisor, and none of what I post, of what I share is financial advice. But the way I see it, we are in an area with substantial risk, and even without forming additional all-time highs, we would be looking here at the 78.6% retracement that could allow a turnaround even within this wave 4 in orange, and even a more direct breakdown in the larger wave 4 correction in blue that would imply we would be looking to go potentially as low as the $217.6. I prefer that we extend higher, I find it more likely, but I wouldn't bet on this wave to the upside. We are within a substantial risk area. We are likely towards the end of this wave to the upside, and if we want, we can even check some divergences here. And even in the 4-hour time frame, we can notice that very likely within this extension in a 50 to the upside, we will form a lower high on the RSI while printing a higher high on the chart. It will be yet another signal that this would be towards the end of this wave to the upside. Now, a guarantee, it is an indicator. It indicates this is the likely expectation we could be having. If we go here, even on the daily, we see some significant divergences. And on the weekly, we see that we would be still within a wave 3. We would still be pushing to higher prices, but I would consider this to be expected on the weekly time frame within such a pattern. The way I see it, once again, is that we are within a fifth wave of a fifth wave of a large wave 3. So to sum it up, at this point the count does seem incomplete. I strongly prefer an additional high, but being this close towards the end of the uptrend, there is substantially more risk as opposed to the case where we would be looking instead for something like an internal fifth wave, yeah, within a wave 3, or at least within a larger time frame that is much more expected to actually occur. Now, within the smaller time frame, I wouldn't trust this structure too much once again, but I could see this unfold to something like 1, 2, 3, 4th, and the 5th within an ending diagonal in the wave C. So I would still be looking for a wave 4 correction even after the market opens and possibly extends to lower prices. I would still be looking for a potential wave 4 and another 5th wave before this wave C would be considered complete. But once we have this supposed wave C complete, we would have an ABC structure in place that is a full count. It doesn't need any additional extensions higher. It could be that it's just a wave X or a wave B and we are looking for a larger correction to take place. Do not rule out the possibility of extensions to lower prices, and while I cannot provide you a very relevant area of support right now because we are already in the pre-market much above the current price points where we closed yesterday, but yeah, I can already tell you we could be looking at something like a wave 3 that could have unfolded within this area, and we could be looking at a wave 4 at an ending diagonal that allows the area of support to go down to the 61.8% retracement. So based on yesterday's pricing, the $385.6 level, but as we extend higher within this wave 3, this area would need to be adjusted along with it. And I want you to be very much aware, this is a very fragile structure within a very fragile time frame, so I wouldn't trust it anyway. But for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.